Shalom, dear friends. Today, instead of sharing some thoughts on Parshat HaShavua, I want to share some thoughts on Chanukah with an application towards modern Orthodoxy. Some beautiful sources, some very, very inspirational ideas that I've come across recently, and I wanted to share them with you as they apply to Chanukah and, again, the life of a modern Orthodox Jew. I'd like to start with a prayer that we say on Chanukah, a prayer that we're all familiar with, the Hanissim prayer. Hanissim is added both to the Birkat HaMazon and to the Amidah, to the Shemona Esrei. And for the Hanissim to Chanukah, it begins as follows: B'mei Matisyahu ben Yochanan Kohei Gadol Chashmonai uvanav. In the days of Matityahu, the son of Yochanan, the high priest, the Chashmonaim and his sons, Kishe'amda Malchut Yavan Harisha'a al Amcha Yisrael. The wicked Greek kingdom rose up against your people Israel. And then the Hanissim goes on to explain the miracle of the military victory of Chanukah. A writer and a rabbi, an author, who I've come to really enjoy studying from and reading both his Torah works and his literary works, is Rabbi Chaim Sabato. I'll tell you a little bit about Rabbi Chaim Sabato, and I highly recommend reading his works. Much of what he has written, including his seminal work called Adjusting Sights, which is historical fiction based on his experiences as a young soldier in a tank during the Yom Kippur War, during the very early hours of the war, in the Golan Heights, where the outlook was very, very bleak. That book has been translated into English. It's called Adjusting Sights, and many of his other works have also been translated into English. I highly recommend his works. Chaim Sabato was born in Cairo in 1952. His family left Cairo with many other Jews in 1957. They made Aliyah to Israel. They lived in a transit camp in Kiryat Yovel, near Kiryat Yovel in Yerushalayim. It was during the war when Rabbi Sabato was not Rabbi Sabato at that point, was literally under fire, where he decided that if he survived the war, he was going to start a yeshiva. And he did, and he went on to start the yeshiva called Birkat Moshe, which was in 1977 when he opened it, a fledgling town. But now is called Yeshivat Birkat Moshe in Ma'ale Adumim. The Rosh Yeshiva is Rabbi Nachum Rabinovich. It's interesting that Chaim Sabato started the yeshiva and co-founded it with Rabbi Yaakov Shelat, but they felt that they were too young to name themselves as Rosh Yeshiva, as the heads of the academy. And Rabbi Nachum Rabinovich, who's another amazing, amazing personality, is the Rosh Yeshiva there. In any case, Rabbi Chaim Sabato, again, I highly recommend his works, asks a really good question on the Hanissim, and that is, why does the prayer have to focus Chashmonai uvanav, right? In the time of Matityahu, the Chashmonaim and his sons. The prayer could have said, and with the same impact presumably, in the times of the Chashmonaim, right? Matityahu was the Chashmonai, was the head Chashmonai, and he had his sons and others. The text could have simply said in the days of the Chashmonaim, which would have included Matityahu and his sons. Why the focus on Matityahu and the sons? So Rabbi Sabato says something beautiful. He says he believes that expression, Chashmonai uvanav, the Chashmonai and his sons, stands at the heart of the miracle of Chanukah and the reason why we celebrate Chanukah. On the one hand, he says, people who are more experienced, older, they tend to be more set in their ways. They tend to perhaps be a little bit more thoughtful, slower to react, and certainly not in the mood necessarily for revolution. On the other hand, youth are full of vigor and full of revolutionary ideas and full of energy and the desire to change things. The approach of those who are more experienced is a very, very important approach. Because in any decision-making process, in any question, the voice of experience is very, very helpful, and the voice of calm, especially when it's a very important decision, is also very helpful. On the other hand, it comes with a downfall. The downfall is that perhaps that individual or people who think along those lines are not going to be interested in radical change, are not going to be interested in revolution, even when it's necessary. The vigor and the strength and the energy of youth is very, very important, because it is that energy and that strength which often leads and fuels revolution. On the other hand, it comes with a potential downfall. It may come with rash decisions, and it may come with decisions that don't take the full picture into account. Often, the youth and experience clash, and that clash sometimes causes a stall. Rabbi Sabato says it was the ability of the Matityahu type personality in the time of Chanukah and the Banav and the children type personality in the time of Chanukah to create a shiluv, a combination. That's the word that Rabbi Sabato uses. A shiluv, a combination of experience, the desire to analyze the situation with energy, with excitement, with the willingness to change, with the need and the recognition of the importance of revolution. It was both of those together which enabled the Jewish people to fight a successful military battle against their enemies. It was that very, very combination that made the mered, that made the revolt successful. I think it's a very, very beautiful point. I want to share two other places where a similar point is made. First, I'll share something with you that I read in the writings of the Sridei Eish, Rabbi Yechiel Yaakov Weinberg. I found this in another wonderful book called Fresh Fruit and Vintage Wine. This book is a collection of commentary on Agadot, on the non-legal aspects of the Talmud, and this commentary is written by Rabbi Yitzchak Blau. And he notes that there is an Agadah, a statement in the Talmud Bava Kama, that says that Avraham Avinu had a coin, and on one side of the coin was an elderly man and a woman, and on the other side of the coin was a young boy and girl. Now, Rabbi Blau says it seems obvious that we're not referring to an actual coin, but what we're referring to is something symbolic of Abraham's accomplishments. And according to Rabbi Yechiel Yaakov Weinberg, the elderly man and woman and the young boy and girl on each side of the coin were the same people. And those people were Abraham and Sarah. The one side of the coin depicted an elderly image of Abraham and Sarah, and one side of the coin depicted a young image of Abraham and Sarah. And this is how Rabbi Blau explains or teaches us the Sridei Eish, or Yechiel Yaakov Weinberg's interpretation of this coin. Again, according to him, depicting an elderly image and a young image of Abraham and Sarah. He says the two of them were able to combine the best of youth with the best of experience. The young are filled with energy, enthusiasm, and revolutionary spirit. Indeed, the first Jewish couple energetically changed the world's concept of religion. On the other hand, older people tend to be more thoughtful, settled, and steady. Abraham and Sarah excelled in this area as well. They were able to combine the burning idealism of youth and the wisdom and constancy of age. It is a beautiful interpretation of that midrash and a beautiful life lesson for us, that we should do our very best, as Abraham and Sarah did, to try to combine, as Rabbi Blau puts it, the burning idealism of youth, the recognition that change is sometimes necessary, even revolution is sometimes necessary, with the wisdom and constancy of age. That within the desire to change, big picture factors need to be taken into account, and that comes with experience. There's a similar teaching on this very regard, and that is also noted by Rabbi Blau in his book. And in that, he quotes a eulogy given by Rabbi Soloveitchik for his good friend Rabbi Chaim Heller. This is what Rabbi Soloveitchik says: "A strange polarity characterizes the world of authentic Judaism. It swings like a pendulum between the two ideals of maturity and childishness. The great man whose intellect has been raised to the superior level through the study of Torah gifted with well-developed overflowing powers, depth, scope, sharpness, should not be viewed as the totally adult. The soul of a child still nestles within him. On the one hand, he is knowledge, sated, strong of intellect, rich in experience, sober-sighted, crowned with age, great of spirit. On the other hand, he remains the young and playful child. Naive curiosity, natural enthusiasm, eagerness, and spiritual restlessness have not abandoned him. And that is Rabbi Soloveitchik's depiction of Rabbi Heller. And isn't that a beautiful depiction and explanation, really, of what a full life can be like? We have the exuberance and the excitement and the revolutionary spirit of youth combined with experience, with wisdom, with thoughtfulness, with thinking things through. That is, according to Rabbi Sabato, the very key to why the Chanukah rebellion was successful. I will add that that is also the view of modern Orthodoxy. Modern Orthodoxy recognizes that there is often a need to change the way we do things, to change the way we approach ritual, to change the way we approach synagogue, to change the way we approach Jewish life in general, in many, many different areas. And we have that exuberance of youth, the recognition that something is not working and it needs to be changed. But we also combine that with a respect for tradition, a respect for experience, a respect for minhag, a respect and understanding for the big picture and how changes may affect the big picture. It's not to say that that experience, that exuberance and excitement and revolutionary spirit of youth should be buried or should be hidden, but it's a call. Modern Orthodoxy at its heart is a call for a combination of what is new and what is traditional. Of course, you know that, but in the context of Chanukah, in the context of the Sridei Eish, in the context of Rabbi Soloveitchik's interpretation of what the real Torah scholar is, it's another opportunity to highlight those ideas. Of course, without getting into specifics, but there are so many specifics in terms of how modern Orthodoxy has done a wonderful job in combining those two very important aspects of life. So as we are getting very close to Hanukkah, and on Motzei Shabbat, Saturday night, we are going to start saying Bimei Matityahu ben Yochanan Kohei Gadol Chashmonai Uvanav, the Chashmonai and his son. We are to remember how we could combine these two very important aspects in our own personal lives, in our interpersonal relationships, and of course how we approach Judaism, how we approach synagogue, how we approach life as a modern Orthodox Jew. I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom and a Chanukah Sameach.